I was born in a musical family, so music was all the time prevalent at home. I, uh, as a child, I got exposed to a whole lot of different music because my mother's brother, my uncle, he was a musician, but he listened to a lot of jazz, a lot of other stuff. He also worked in the CBS gramophone company, because of which we had a lot of pop and rock and all this kind of things at home. So I was listening to a lot of world music, Russian music, this music, Bolshevik, Afghani folk, and Japanese classical, and at the same time at home I was listening to my father and my uncle sing, and my mother also play the sitar. But I never was really interested, probably because it was just available to me. I was never really interested to do this kind of music. I was always, till the age of 14, 15, very strongly into Michael Jackson and Beatles and Dire Straits and all this kind of things. And also after that in college life we did. But in 1986 I had a tour with my father for the Festival of India in America, and we did about 20 concerts, and I was playing tanpura behind him. And uh, for some reason I began to understand what this music is about, and that there is no stress over here. There is no formality in the music, in a sense. There is no reason why I have to prove anything, and there is no idea of an examination or a goal in this exam, in this music. That's what attracted me the most about this music, that it was free. You could just sit and just play with it. And I got, in those 4 months, I listened very carefully and very intently, and I got absorbed into it. And when I came back, then I asked my father, I want to do this music, so what should I do? Should I learn a Veena, or should I do vocal, or should I play pakhavaj, or play a surbhar or a sitar? Sitar I had learned earlier at the age of 7 for 2 years with my mother, and then I had stopped because I was a little boy and I had really no interest. But this time I really wanted to do something. So he told me, you start with the Veena. So 4 years I learned with my father, after which he passed away. Then my uncle was there, Ustad Mohi Dagar, who is a vocalist. I spent time learning with him. At the same time, Pushparaj Koshtiji, with whom I'm taking able guidance now, he pushed me quite a bit. There were students of my father, like there was this filmmaker called Mani Kaul, who learned about 10 years with my father. So he also sat down, he also showed me a whole lot of things of how the alap proceeds, how the words are used in alap. So, and from there I began my journey slowly. I was raw, but still at the 21 I started playing outside a little bit. Because my father passed away, I needed to earn money. And also I was teaching at the same time. So slowly, from a collection of 4 or 5 rags, my collection slowly grew over a period of time, and I could play many more, understand many more rags. And otherwise, in life, there have been many people who have really loved my parents for what they were, and who thought that my parents had given them a special gift, which was the music. So they really encouraged me a lot. They asked me to continue, even though I was not very good. They wanted to see me playing. There were a lot of people also who didn't want you to play, but that's okay. That's how life is, normal. But this is how the journey began, and I slowly, and whole lot of other musicians also had interactions with whole lot of senior musicians. Like at that time there was Ustad Asad Ali Khan Sahab, who was a Veena player, and whenever he would come to my concert, and he was a contemporary of my father, he would always encourage me and tell me, you should do this. Keep on doing it. Don't worry about it. Then one day, even for a matter of fact, Pandit Jasraj ji had gone to a concert, and I played before him, and he told me also that don't worry, you're in the raw stage, but there's this spark. Put a picture of your father in front of you and play before it. It will all come back to you. So there was a lot of encouragement from a lot of quarters, and somewhere within, even I wanted to just do this music. I had no idea whether I could make a career out of it, or I was not even looking to make a career out of it. Even now, I am not looking at it as a career. I happened to be performing and playing and all that. And over the years, the work grew. For many years, for like 20 years, I felt I didn't know what I was doing and how I was doing and whether I was right or wrong. But my uncle kept on telling me, please go ahead. So I has to ask him, is it right? Is it wrong? I don't understand anything. He said, no, it's going fine. Just keep at it. One day you will understand the work you're doing. It will take time. So that's what brought me over here now today, and the journey continues.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So they asked me, how am I able to play the instrument without looking at it? I was just telling them that when you practice for a whole amount of years, then this image sits in your mind. So when you close your eyes, you know exactly where sa is, pa is, those kind of things. So you get used to it. So when you close your eyes, that image in front of you, and according to that you play. And sometimes you do look in between. So Rudra Veena is the instrument of Shiva. It was made for North Indian classical music, which is Dhrupad or Khyal. And the basic difference between both the Saraswati Veena and the Rudra Veena is structure-wise. The Saraswati Veena has a plate like a sitar over here. The Rudra Veena has one long stem and two gourds. And the frets of the Rudra Veena are slightly higher than that of the Saraswati Veena, because of which you can pull more notes. And in the Saraswati Veena, they are slightly lower, so because of which sliding becomes much easier.
Can you please explain that symbol behind you?
That is the Spic Macay symbol. Spic Macay is Society for Promotion of Classical Music and Culture amongst Children and Youth. So that symbol is the third eye of Shiva. So Kiran Seth, the founder of Spic Macay, he chose this symbol because he wanted to open the third eye of all the children who are listening to music, because this is the divine eye that gives you realization, that gives you more understanding about the world, more refinement in the manner. So he used that symbol.
In Carnatic music, we are following the Kriti Kirtanai and Javali, Padam, Tilana, and many items, and we are following here. In Hindustani, we are following. What are the methods you are following? Please explain.
So basically, I'm playing the first portion. I'm playing is a long alap. So alap, jod, and jhala, and then I'm playing a composition. A composition not necessary like a composed one. It can also just be a cycle of notes that I'm putting together and I'm playing. So, like in South, you're playing a lot of compositions which are sung and which are played. But in North, we are usually playing which we call a gat. A gat is a circle of notes that we'll create around the rag. Or sometimes we will play a composition. Like today, I was playing in this Komal Rishabh Bhageshri. There is a composition we have which is called Kaise Tuma Murak Ho Shamaka Nahiya. So I was taking from that and I was playing that. It was in 12 beats.
Is it possible to teach the children the tal of Bhageshri, just how they can give on their hand?
Yeah, so the composition tal was 12 beats. The words for it are dha, dha. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And the language is dha, dha, dhin, ta, te, ta, dha, dhin, ta, te, ta, ka, ta, ga, di, ga, na, dha. So this is the take of 12 beats. And then within this we make the improvisation. It's called chautal, or chautal means using 4, 4 and 4. 3 times it's using 4. So char tal or chautal.
Sir, which is your first stage you start playing instruments?
I started at the age of 7 for 2 years. Then I gave a gap until the age of 16. And then I started seriously after the age of 16.
My question, I'm seeing the children here. I would like to hear your comments on how a younger generation can actually learn to listen to classical music, because after about 10 minutes they are lost into it. So what would your, some words of wisdom for the young adults as well as adults who are trying to get into it? What kind of a space should we be in?
I think sanskars at home are very important. You have to take them to concerts time and again. Like when I was a very little boy, I was like 4 or 5 years, my mother, my aunt and my uncle, because my father used to be roaming around doing concerts, they would take me to whole night concerts. So the preparation was you wear nice clothes, you have a little sandwich box with you. Of course, they know I'm going to go there, sit for half an hour and then I'm going to fall asleep. But they take me still all the same, they would take me to all these concerts. I would be sleeping on their lap, and when the concert would get over, I would get up and clap, then again listen for 10 minutes. So I think you have to keep on showing them more than listening. If they see, if they're in close quarters like this, if they interact with the musicians, something stays within them, they want to go back to it. If they can't relate to it, there is no way they want to go back to it. You put them out there somewhere and make them listen to something, it's not going to happen. I think this is a good way, because then they're close to me, I'm looking at them, they're looking at me, they can ask questions, I can be with them. So I think that is a very good way of exposing children. And I think this was just listen without worrying what the form of music is, why it is like this, what tal it is, what rag it is. Just listen. And every being is a sensitive person, and children are much more open than us. So because they have less baggage in life. So they have a certain way of linking with that through something. They should try to find a connection between what do they find about it, what do they like about it, what do they dislike about it. They don't have to even like it, I feel. They have to dislike it, but they have to have an opinion about it. That is very important. And slowly over time, either they will be in it or they will not be in it, which is also okay. Apart from that, I think in schools you can show documentaries on musicians, and they can go and see those documentaries. You get on films divisions, you get this 15 minutes documentaries on various musicians around India. So you can show them those documentaries. And I think they should also very much listen to everything else, like pop, rock, this, that, fusion, A.R. Rahman, everything. Because they have to go through that journey before they come to this. Otherwise, if they come here, they might not, right from the beginning, they might to go back there and never come back here. So, which is also okay, but I think they should be exposed between 9 and 15, they should be exposed to a world of music. And not tell them this is right, this is wrong, this is good, let them decide what they want, what they don't want. When they ask, what is this about, then explain. Otherwise, just let it be free. I think if you have some kind of a constraint on you have to listen to this, you have to do this, that's not going to happen, because it's a very different generation now. It's absolutely different. You would have listened to your parents. I didn't totally listen to my parents. Forget them. It's not going to happen. We have to let them free, and they will come. They'll come back into something. I think that's the best way to do it.
Can you say how many hours you had to practice?
None of my teachers ever asked me to practice. They said, if you want to practice, you will do it. If you want to do this music, you have to sit and practice. If I have to tell you that you have to practice, it's not worth it. So when I began because I was listening to a lot of this music and I understood quite a few details and all that. But to get there, I had to do the practice. So in the beginning, I sat down for 6 hours, 7 hours and did the practice for some time. Then after that, there were a lot of stories about people practicing so many hours, doing so many things, all that. So I asked my father, how many hours should I practice? He says, 2 hours a day for you is enough, because every person has different thing. And then after some time now, I have kind of stopped practice, because the whole idea is to learn so much, is to practice so much, and to think the size of this room. So if your idea is clear on what to say, it's like a language, then you'll be able to say it. You should not, one should not practice so much also that you're only playing your practice. You should be able to convert the idea. Practice means basically coordination of the mind and the hand for me. So if I'm able to, as long as I'm able to convert the mind into the hand and bring it forth, that much practice is okay. Sometimes in between, if I feel okay, I have not practiced for many days, I sit for 1 hour, something like that in between. Or if I'm losing my calluses, I sit for some time, otherwise my fingers will hurt if there is it's a long program. Otherwise, I just sit back and I think about the work because leisure is very important. This kind of music is born out of leisure. And preparation before a concert is such that 2 days at least before, I don't like to touch the instrument. I just like to leave it fresh. So when I come there are a fresh set of ideas. And I might not think of what piece I'm going to play, but I'll think of some particular rag and I'll just spend time with it. Because the concept of stretching an alap, it's like an habit. If you don't have that habit, it's very difficult to stretch that alap. So I constantly take a piece of alap and I try to stretch it and stretch it and stretch it. Before a concert, I will spend time with the tanpuras, tuning them, because they give a beautiful idea of what the alap should be. And I think about how to begin a phrase. I'll think about maybe 10 different ways or 12 different ways of how to begin a phrase. And because each phrase will lead to something else. So then I might not use any of this phrase, something else might come. Or if I tune something, the tanpura in the green room, and I come onto the stage and the AC is on, and the particular shruti has changed my microtone, the rag will change. Then I have to be just there with what is being offered to me.
I wanted to know actually about the Pakhavaj, how it evolved and how did it become accompaniment to Rudra Veena?
So Pakhavaj basically is instrument of Lord Ganesha. The mythology says that when Tarakasura was killed by Lord Ganesha, he tore his skin and put it on a hollow tube and played it on both the sides. So that is a mythological thing. The rest Uddhavji can tell you.
Namaskar. Sorry, my English is not good, but I will try. First, this instrument has two types. One is the solo, and second is accompanist. Solo, this is the fix. There are some composition, something I can play. But when I think for the with accompany, maybe vocal Dhrupad or maybe Rudra Veena, the sangat is not a fix. There is no play composition, one or two composition in all. But you know, for the Indian classical music, the upaj is very important. Yeah, you call it improvisation. So when I, or maybe any when he start for accompanies, then they have to listen what kinds of he playing, what do he wants, then I play. And this is no written. You know, for this the Guru Shishya Parampara, this means you sit, you hear, and then you play. So this is accompany. And you know, Pakhavaj Mridang is different from Mridangam. Also name is Mridanga. But there are many types for the accompanies, for the paran something. But you know, also one part of this beauty Pakhavaj, we say the Stuti paran. Stuti for God, goddess. So one paran I can speak. This is the Lord Ganesha. This is the mood for Lord Ganesha's dance. The words is Ganapati Suramani Vande. Ganapati Suramani Vande Buddhi Vinayak. Gazamaka Chaturbhuja Vigna Harana Shubha Karana Sahayak. Titakata Gadigana Titakata Gadigna Thay. This is the rhythm. गणपति सुरमणि वंदे बुद्धि विनायक गजमुख चतुर्भुज विघ्न हरण शुभ करण सहायक तिटकतक दिगन तिटकतक दिगन थै 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 तिटकतक दिगन थै 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 तिटकतक दिगन थै 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 थै.
Wow. Thank you. But I just want, okay, a little later, but the question was why it could have been tabla using,
can't be tabla.
means the accompanying the Rudra Veena. How it was chosen that Pakhavaj will accompany the Rudra Veena? That was the question of...
The Pakhavaj was the first instrument. Tabla came much afterwards. When you cut the Pakhavaj into two parts, you get the tabla. So the original instrument has been mridang, or the body of clay, or Pakhavaj, which you play with the arms. So that's why it is much more ancient than the tabla, about maybe more older than the Rudra Veena. So that is what was taken as accompaniment. There was no tabla then. Yeah, I play only with the Pakhavaj and sometimes with the Jodi. Jodi is played in Punjab. It is like the tabla, but the dagga has the do like the Pakhavaj. So these are the only two kind of things I would play with. I don't play with the Pakhavaj because, I don't play with the tabla because it is not a tradition to do so. So I don't break that.
Panditji, can we request you to play the Ganesh Parat that you just said?
गणपति पूजो गणपति पूजो गणपति पूजो गणपति पूजो पान फूल ले गणपति पूजो फिर पूजो फिर पूजो फिर पूजो गणपति पूजो गणपति पूजो गणपति पूजो गणपति पूजो फिर पूजो फिर पूजो फिर पूजो गणपति पूजो पान फूल ले गणपति पूजो फिर 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 पूजो.